appreciate the gentleman yielding. I think, what frankly I think is the discussion here, and I rise in strong support of SJ Resolution 22, which vacates this overreaching and frankly unnecessary waters of the USA rule, and it prevents the EPA and Corps of Engineers from moving forward. I think the problem it is made itself real. Chairman just talked about this as well. It's not what is on the top line, it's what's on the exemption line, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. The problem I come from with this, and we've been dealing with this in my part of the world, and I appreciate my previous speaker from Louisiana talking about the watershed there. I'm from northeast Georgia, where we're in the foothills of the mountains. So in the bottoms, you have our creeks, our tributaries, we have Lake Lanier, we have the Chattahoochee River, we have Hartwell, we have a lot of areas that fall here. What is interesting to me is, and what my friend from across the aisle basically said, what is offensive to me is to come to a place and say that just because or whatever, we're going to work on a Clean Water Act, we're going to work on a reauthorization, is to take it from Congress and say that people downtown in cubicles who do not know my district, who understand that they have an agenda to push, will make rules and make regulations that affect the livelihood of people. That's offensive when you take it from Congress where it should be. I agree with my friend. It should be here. But if the thing's not moving fast enough, we've seen a pattern in the last 7 years. If it's not moving fast enough in Congress, go around it. That's not possible. The Constitution is not something you can forget every once in a while. Now, you can make arguments all day long. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I call it just plain dumb. Common sense, as my grandma told me one time, is not common. And I see that in Washington all the time, especially in agencies. We talk about why this is confusing. I had the EPA director sitting in committee last year ask these very questions about this rule. She answered them one way, and at the very same time back in my district, in the 9th District of Georgia, they were being told a completely opposite answer. Where she would say it's not affected, they would say, oh, it's affected. They knew because they understood their district. They understood these agents, and the agency workers in the district understood what was going on. So you can have this argument all you want. This needs to be vacated. The courts are going to, as previously said, the courts have already made statement on this. This is an overreach. This is a policy choice. And I'm sorry. The executive branch there is to carry out the law, to work within the confines of the court ruling, not to determine that they have pins on their chest and that they are elected by the people that they represent. They're to follow the law. If we need to continue on the Clean Water Act, to make arguments to say that if you're against this, you want dirty water, you want bad pollution, you're against this, that is just a straw man that needs to be burned down and buried. We're looking for common sense regulation. We're looking for stuff that makes sense. When I have a gentleman in my area whose land is his main asset and over 100 acres that he has, when you take these rules and set them on top of it, he has 18 usable acres from dry ditches and gullies. That's a problem. Don't hand me this, that this is going to destroy the world. Don't hand me this from the Red Hills of North Georgia, where just years ago, it was the farmers, it was those who knew that living off the land meant conservation, that turned those red clay hills into green, lush farms. Don't tell me that the Washington needs to be the one to tell them how to do conservation and to know what to do with a dry ditch on their land. This is ridiculous. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.